The year is 1667. Picture this: English sailors wake at dawn on June 12 to see enemy warships sailing boldly up the river Medway. Not just any warships, Dutch vessels, flying their orange flags in defiance, heading straight for the Royal Navy's most sacred anchorage at Chatham. By nightfall, they'll have burned England's flagship and towed away her pride and joy. It's the most humiliating naval defeat in English history. Today we're diving into this audacious Dutch raid that brought warfare to England's doorstep, exploring how a devastating fire consumed medieval London, uncovering Milton's literary masterpiece that dared to make Satan the hero, and witnessing France's Sun King at the height of his power as he reshapes Europe itself. The year 1667. Europe's old order is crumbling. Spain, once the colossus astride two worlds, is a shadow of its former self. France under Louis XIV is ascending like a brilliant star. England and the Dutch Republic are locked in their second bitter war over trade routes and colonial supremacy. And across this fractured continent, ambitious monarchs eye each other's territories like chess players contemplating their next move. Let's return to that June morning. The mastermind of this incredible operation is Michiel de Ruyter, Holland's greatest admiral. Think Nelson, but Dutch, and arguably more daring. De Ruyter has conceived something almost unthinkable, a direct assault on the Royal Navy in its home waters. Here's what makes this so audacious. The Medway isn't just any river, it's where England keeps her greatest warships, supposedly safe behind a massive chain stretched across the water at Gillingham. But de Ruyter has done his homework. English finances are stretched thin after years of war and last year's catastrophic Great Fire. The fleet is undermanned, underfunded, and unprepared. On June 10, de Ruyter's fleet, over 60 vessels strong, appears in the Thames estuary. By the 12th, they've smashed through that supposedly impregnable chain like it's made of paper. What happens next is every English admiral's nightmare made real. The Dutch don't just raid, they systematically destroy. HMS Royal Oak, HMS Loyal London, these aren't just ships, they're symbols of English maritime power, and they're going up in flames. But the real prize is HMS Royal Charles, the fleet's flagship. The Dutch don't burn her, oh no, they do something far more humiliating. They tow her away as a trophy. Picture poor Samuel Pepys, yes, our famous diarist, watching from London as smoke rises in the east. He's literally burying his wine and his gold in his garden, convinced the Dutch are coming for the capital itself. The sound of cannon fire echoes across Kent. This is warfare brought to England's very doorstep. The raid lasts just 4 days, but its impact will resonate for decades. When the smoke clears, 13 major English warships are gone, sunk, burned, or captured. It's a humiliation so complete that it will force England to sue for peace within weeks. But while the English and Dutch are tearing each other apart at sea, someone else is watching with considerable interest. Louis XIV, the Sun King of France, has been waiting for precisely this moment. With his rivals distracted, he's about to make a move that will reshape the balance of European power. That May, just weeks before the Medway raid, Louis launched what he's calling the War of Devolution. Don't let the name fool you, this isn't about religion. It's about territory, power, and Louis's seemingly insatiable appetite for both. Here's his justification, and it's brilliantly crafted legal fiction. When Louis married the Spanish Infanta Maria Teresa back in 1660, she supposedly renounced all claims to Spanish territory. But Louis's lawyers have discovered an obscure local law in the Spanish Netherlands, something called the right of devolution, which they argue supersedes that renunciation. Under this law, they claim, the Spanish Netherlands should rightfully belong to Louis's wife, and therefore to France. It's complete nonsense legally, but it provides the perfect pretext. And timing? The Spanish are militarily exhausted, the English and Dutch are busy destroying each other, and the Holy Roman Emperor is dealing with Turkish threats in the east. Louis couldn't have chosen a better moment. The French war machine that rolls into the Spanish Netherlands that spring is a sight to behold. This isn't the old feudal Levi of medieval times, this is Europe's first truly modern army. Professional soldiers, uniform equipment, coordinated artillery, and brilliant commanders like the great Turenne leading the advance. Fortress after fortress falls with mechanical precision. Charleroi, Tournai, Douai, these aren't just military victories, they are statements of French superiority. By autumn, Louis has carved off a substantial chunk of Spanish territory with almost contemptuous ease. Meanwhile, in a London still rebuilding from the previous year's Great Fire, something extraordinary is happening in the world of literature. An aging, blind Puritan named John Milton is about to publish what many will consider the greatest epic poem in the English language. Its title? Paradise Lost. Now, here's what makes this remarkable. Milton isn't just any writer, he's a political pariah. For years, he served as Latin secretary to Oliver Cromwell's Commonwealth. He wrote pamphlets defending the execution of King Charles I. When the monarchy was restored in 1660, he was lucky to keep his head. But this same year, this former Republican radical publishes an epic that will outlive all the political upheavals of his time. And what an epic it is! Milton has set himself an almost impossible task to justify the ways of God to men by retelling the story of the fall of man. Here's the genius of what Milton's done and why it's so controversial. He's made Satan, yes, Satan, into the most compelling character in the poem. This isn't the cartoon devil of medieval mystery plays. Milton's Satan is magnificent, tragic, almost sympathetic in his defiance. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven, that's not just a memorable line, it's a revolutionary statement about authority and rebellion. The poem costs just 3 shillings, and slowly but surely, it begins to find its audience. Little does anyone realize that these 10 books of blank verse will influence everyone from William Blake to Mary Shelley to countless others. Milton has created something that will outlast all the kingdoms and empires we've been discussing. But let's cross the Atlantic, because this same year sees the formal conclusion of a transfer that will reshape the future of North America. Remember New Amsterdam? That Dutch trading post at the mouth of the Hudson River that the English seized back in 1664? Well, the Treaty of Breda, signed in July, officially hands it over to England for good. What's fascinating is how little fuss this causes at the time. To most Europeans, these American colonies are interesting primarily for what they can export: furs, tobacco, sugar. No one's imagining that this muddy little port will one day become the greatest city in the world. The Dutch seem almost relieved to be rid of it. They've got their hands full with more profitable ventures in the East Indies. Why worry about a few thousand colonists trading in beaver pelts when you can control the spice trade? It seems like a reasonable calculation at the time. But here's what they're missing. Those English colonists aren't just trading posts, they're communities, growing and expanding with each passing year. The settlement that will soon be renamed New York is about to become the cornerstone of something unprecedented in human history, a continental empire built not by conquest, but by immigration and expansion. And so 1667 draws to a close. The Dutch have humiliated England at sea but lost New Amsterdam forever. France has announced its arrival as Europe's dominant power. And somewhere in London, blind John Milton has created an immortal masterpiece while the city rebuilds itself from ashes. It's a year of endings and beginnings, of old powers fading and new ones rising. But the greatest transformation of all is still to come. Next time, we'll witness how the ambitions unleashed this year will drag all of Europe into a conflict that will rage for decades, and see how a young German mathematician named Leibniz will unlock secrets of the universe itself. And so concludes our journey through 1667. Join us next time as we explore what the year 1667